Hello everyone. welcome to this Sunday's Paint With Me Live. My name is Brittany Lewis. I'm a professional illustrator and graphic designer, and Sundays is the day that I work on my dream project, the Cosmic Gateways Tarot, and of course this Sunday is no exception to that. So before we get into today's live stream, we're only probably going to be here for about an hour or so. It's not going to be a long one, I don't think. We'll see. We'll kind of see how it goes. But before we get started, if you would like to support me in this channel, the easiest way for you to do that is to like this video. So once we make it through our live stream, if you feel like you like this thing, make sure you hit the like button. It helps me out a whole lot. I do have a goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers. Hey TN lady, I'm so happy to see you. So I do have a goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers, so your likes and your subscribes help me in that goal. Other ways that you can support me: if you like my art, if you would like to hire me for your project or would like to have a discussion about your project, there are going to be some links for everything down in the description, so you can contact me there, and then we'll get the ball rolling on your project. So I hope you guys are having a great week this week. It's been a great week. So I had put out a new video, right? Got some videos going. I've been saying that I was going to do that for the absolute longest, so it felt really nice to have a longer form video, and then of course a short form version of that same video, chronicling me trying acrylic markers for the first time, which was a whole lot of fun. I had finished that illustration a couple weeks ago, so I was kind of dragging my feet on editing and doing the voiceover and all of that, but that seems to be doing really well. So we've got some growth on the channel from those videos. So if you're new here, welcome. If you've been here with me for a minute, welcome. I'm really happy to have you guys here, whether you're watching this live or the replay. All right, so assuming you guys are new, right? Just to kind of explain what we're doing. This project is called the Cosmic Gateways Tarot, and we are working on the 5 of Cups from this particular project. So this project is going to comprise of 78 cards, which is 78 individual illustrations, paintings, if you will. They're all done digitally, and we are beyond the halfway point, but this is a project that I started back in 2019. So we are on the 5 of Cups. We're working our way through the minor arcana cards, and right now my focus on this particular card is the background, so I can just kind of work my way forward. And that's generally how I work when I'm doing digital illustrations, from flats to sketches and all. I try to work my way from the back forward. That's the same way I arrange my layers, the whole thing. That way I can kind of set the tone for the background, and then I can move my way forward. So in this particular card, we have our main character who is sort of bent below these 3 cups that she's built, and this card is all about sorrow. It's all about grieving. It's all about making sure that or sort of focusing on a negative situation or a negative feeling. But if our main character just kind of stands up and shifts her point of view, she'll have access to all kinds of treasures and good experiences and all of those things. So we've been working on this card as well as the 5 of Wands for the last few weeks now. So I'm starting to sort of get ready or getting myself ready to sort of go into turbo drive so that I can go ahead and knock this out and we can get to the next set of cards. So my goal for this particular year is to do 15 cards. So these first 2 are taking a little bit longer than I would like, but that's because we have other things going on, right? And that's just kind of how life goes. I have other projects. Of course, you guys have seen the fruits of some of that labor here recently. We have just other things going on, but at a certain point, so I'll say me being here on Sundays as well as Wednesdays for our Bring Your Own project are very paramount, because those times are set aside specifically to work on this here dream project. Right? So again, this project is one that I started in 2018. So 2019, tail end of 2019, and so this is one that I have been working on for quite a while, off and on, and I'm really excited to know that we are more than halfway done. I have about 36 cards left to do. So if I finish these 2, the 5 of Cups and the 5 of Wands, we'll reduce that to 34, and so on and so forth. I learned last year that doubling up my efforts and doing 2 cards at a time really does help. I didn't necessarily factor in, wanting to do other creative things and working on other creative projects. But nonetheless, it has definitely been a game changer for me just to kind of double up my efforts just to get it done. But at the same time, I don't necessarily want to rush through this project, right? We've been at it for 6 years at this point. I definitely wanted to make sure I continue to take my time with it. so that I can tell the story that I want to tell in each card. And that is something that I'm really, really proud to be able to do. Just in recent years, as we've been working through the minor arcana cards, is lean very heavily into visual storytelling. So this, again, as I explained earlier, is a card of grief. So that kind of allowed me to take the source material and make it into something unique for the Cosmic Gateways Tarot. So I'm very, very happy with the way that this came out. Now, if you like this kind of project, if you're new here, there is a wait list. So if you would like to get updates as soon as the deck goes into circulation, as soon as it goes into print, as soon as we start marketing for sale, you guys will be the first to know. I have not quite decided yet how I would like to process the orders for this. I don't know yet if it's going to be a pre-order situation or if it's going to be a Kickstarter, but we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there. So one of the things I'm really, really glad about in terms of taking my time is that sales and commerce and things like that has been changing a lot lately, especially in this past year or so. And so I am very happy with the way that the length of time that I am taking on this, because I feel like by the time we go to print, things will be kind of shifted and worked out, and we'll have an easier time, fingers crossed. So I'm gonna put that out in the atmosphere. So yeah, this is a project that is a dream project. It's definitely a labor of love. This is one that I wanted to start many years ago, and I just was, again, too afraid. And you guys who have been here for a while will hear me say this a lot. I was very afraid to jump out and sort of do something that was new, I guess, to my audience, right? It wasn't necessarily new to me, but it was something that I hadn't expressed openly. And I think one of the lessons that I learned is that it doesn't really matter, right? You don't have to sort of give so much weight on on the people who are sort of on the outside looking in. It's best to just kind of create the things that you want to see and then allow the journey to unfold how it unfolds. So I'm very, very, again, happy with this project, the way that it's shaping up. Here in a bit, I'll show you guys what some of those cards look like. Again, we have 42 complete, so we have 36 left to do. So yeah, Sundays is the day, right? So I hope that you guys have been taking time to sort of focus on some of your dream projects and kind of going out and learning new things and new skills. I feel like that is I think where we're going to find the most peace, right? Starting to lean into the things that we want to do, the things that we're curious about, the things that we want to accomplish or dream about, or sort of communities we want to get active in and all of that. You kind of have to make time to do it. So I feel like now is, with everything going on in the world, and I know there's quite a lot going on, now seems to be the perfect time to do that, to sort of start to rebuild and reshape your community, reshape your mind, right? Reshape your idea of success and the possibilities and the things that you have access to, and kind of go for it, right? So this is sort of my nod to that. So recently I got invited to, so I've been let me backtrack a little bit. I've been sort of leaning into photography as a hobby. I mentioned this a lot. I go to photography club here in my city, and we've been doing photo walks and really been enjoying the process of just getting outside and away from my computer, which was all of the reason, or most of the reason, why I did the acrylic marker video recently, just to kind of give myself and our audience, you guys, a change of pace from seeing me work digitally so much and sort of working at my computer. And so photography is one of those things that has helped me to do that. And in that, going to photography club, we've been going on a lot of walks outside of photography club just to kind of practice and get out, just sort of amongst the world, just get out in the world and kind of capture it from my own point of view through the lens of a camera. And I've really been enjoying that. But recently I got invited to go to a Civil War reenactment in April. So I'm really excited about that. So I'm going to be taking my camera with me, right? I'm going to be capturing some photos. I may also vlog that. I don't know that I've done very many vlogs, maybe one or two on this particular channel. So I'm going to be vlogging that experience and showing you guys some of that. So I have lots and lots of videos coming up. I'm really excited to share with you some other aspects of my artistic sort of career and my interests and all of those things. So really looking forward to that. So I'm really glad that the video from this week did really well. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. We'll do a lot more of those things where we're exploring different mediums, and we'll explore sort of different aspects of art, especially when it comes to like landscapes, which I keep talking about, right? Wanting to sort of learn or get better with landscapes and how to create those. So the next video that I have planned, I have to go ahead and film it soon. I'm going to be working on a larger painting. So this is going to be a 24 by 36 huge painting, or huge for me because typically the largest I'll go is a 16 by 20. I do have a few pieces that are bigger than that, but this particular painting is going to be a 24 by 36, and I'm going to be going from 0 to 100, from absolutely nothing to a bare idea into a completed work. So that means stretching the canvas. I'm going to show you guys how I plan for that painting, because I have a broad idea of what I would like to create, but the details and the nuance of it I'm not really sure about. So the next video that I'm going to be filming here soon is going to be showing you how I do color studies and sketch studies to kind of figure out the composition of this piece. So I know the subject matter is one of those things where I got the idea like 2 o'clock in the morning and I got up and wrote it down and did like a little quick just the thumbnail with the main idea of it. But there are so many sort of details that I'm not really sure about that I kind of want to figure out before I go into the canvas, right? Because once I figure all of that out, when I get to the larger piece of canvas, it'll be a whole lot easier for me to work through. So since you guys seem to be liking, the traditional mediums, I'm definitely going to show you and bring you in on that process as well. Now, on this channel, I do have a history of showing time lapses. We do a lot of time lapses. There are lots and lots of time lapses on this channel. But I don't ever talk about what it is that I'm doing. It's just sort of look at me create. Here's what I'm doing, and then it's sped up with some good music and all of that. But in this particular case, I want to walk you guys through the whole step-by-step process from ideation to completion. I don't know how many series of videos I'll do for this particular painting. I'm not really sure if I'll just kind of show you guys the beginning process of it and then paint it, and then do a longer video with like voiceover. I'm not real sure. We'll kind of see how that goes, but we'll be doing that soon as well. Again, this kind of gives me some balance, right? Because I spend a lot of time doing digital work on the computer, and I'm really been wanting to get back into my foundation, which is traditional art. So I really have been enjoying doing that. I got my sketchbook. Keeping a sketchbook lately. Listen, I've been cutting up. So I want to see you guys succeed and try new things as well. So if there's something that you're trying or you want to talk to me about or share with the audience, I would love to hear from you guys in the chat or in the comments what it is that you've been doing new. Some of the things that you want to try, maybe you don't know how to start. Be sure to share that as well. You never really know who's watching and who may have the information that you need in order for you to move forward in your goals and the things that you would like to complete. Don't be afraid, right? Sometimes we kind of talk ourselves out of things due to whatever the circumstances are. It could be your age. It could be, the way life looks for you right now. It could be a lack of discipline. It could be all kinds of different things, right? But I want you guys to take a chance on yourself, bet on yourself, just try something, right? Like I said, that real, I didn't know what I was doing with them markers. I had absolutely no idea. I knew how to draw a portrait, right? So that was new. That was a skill that I had. I knew how to draw with a portrait. I have experience with acrylic paints, but not with acrylic markers. And I just kind of let myself do whatever, right? Once I realized I didn't have the colors that I needed in order for me to get the results that I'm used to getting or that I wanted to get from that painting, it was up from there. It was like, okay, well, if all goes, worst comes to worst, all I have to do is just restart and try it again, right? So I want you guys to kind of take a chance on yourself, especially if you're older, right? I know it's a lot easier for us to say, well, I'm too old for this and I have all these other responsibilities, and we just sort of give up on ourselves and we just kind of get to a point where we're complacent and we don't see it because we haven't seen it yet. But you have to have like a healthy bit of delusion right? To know that you can succeed in whatever you try. You just have to actually take that first step. And oftentimes that first step is the hardest. It's the absolute hardest step to take. With that markers, I had them markers sitting on my desk for the absolute longest, right? But because I didn't know what the heck I was doing, I was like, well, I'll get around to it. And eventually I did, right? But I actually did the work. I actually put myself out there and took y'all along the journey and the process. So you kind of have to have that same bit of resolve. All right, so what I'm doing really quickly, I'm not going to be very meticulous about the details that I put in these books, but pretty much all I'm doing is just kind of adding details to the books. I have my sketch activated, so I'll turn it off just so we can see what it is that we're working with. If all goes well and it looks like it has, once I turn off the sketch, it'll look exactly the way I wanted it to look. Earlier today I was working on the glass but that was coming together a little bit slower than I would like, so I decided to switch gears. And so since I got you have you guys, I'll go ahead and work on the books, and then we'll go to the vase a little bit later. But this is how our illustration is looking so far without our sketch activated. Now anytime I turn on the sketch, I have to be careful because it gives me a little bit of false read. Sometimes it looks real nice and detailed because we have those dark lines showing up, but once I turn it off, I kind of get a really good idea of what's going on, what may need to be fixed, what may need to be toned down, what may need to be amped up in order for me to get the look that I am going for. So I really am happy with the way that this is turning out. And I'll show you guys really quickly the card that we were working on Wednesdays, which this Wednesday I did not stream, but next Wednesday we'll be back on this particular card. I take the same approach, right? So I have my sketch and I'll go back and forth between turning my sketch on as well as turning it off, just so I can make sure that I'm seeing what it is that I want to create. Now, a lot of artists work digitally and they do line art. I am an artist who paints digitally that does not do line art. I really prefer the painterly style. I prefer my illustrations to have a sort of I don't know how to explain it, just a different look. Hey Black Zetsu. So I like to turn off the sketches so that I can kind of get an idea. Now if I had line art in my art, it would probably look a lot differently, and I would, you know, not worry so much about turning the sketches and things like that, all because I already have the line art in place. But this is just this is just the way that I choose to create. No other rhyme or reason than it's just what I like. Right? So this is the 5 of Wands that we work on Wednesday. So it's coming together really nicely. I left off with the Himba Man, which is next to the cowboy. And with him, I was working on, they wear these like skirts kind of. So I was working on giving him a skirt. Now, Himba men specifically generally wear no shirts at all. They usually go without a shirt, and then they wear like a skirt, not a loincloth, but like a kind of kilt kind of, right? But because I didn't want to have to figure out the anatomy of this person's back, I was like, let me just put him in a shirt to save myself the headache. But the other identifying factors would be his skirt as well as his hair and his necklace. But I do like how the cowboy is looking. I'm still not quite sure how I'm feeling about the wrinkles in his clothes, but I wanted to move forward and move on to another character. And then if I still feel a way about the way that his clothes are rendered, I'll come back and tailor all of that. I'm kind of working my way around. So I really enjoy how this is coming together. I really like sort of how the cloth is folding together or sort of laying on his body with the green skirt. So yeah, that is the card that we work on Wednesdays. Now Wednesdays is a stream that I don't do a whole lot of talking. So if you would like to have a space to be able to co-work and study, and we just have music, kind of like those lo-fi videos, but I'm there with you studying and working live. Please join me on Wednesdays. That is Bring Your Own Project Live. So we'll have it this Wednesday at about 12:45 p.m. Central Standard Time. And so we'll be working on a different card. But yeah, so the deck is coming along, right? Just to switch gears a little bit, the deck is definitely coming along. A little bit slower with these two cards than I had anticipated, but again, not nearly as slow as the last card that we had, which was the 4 of Wands, which took I think I worked on that for about 7 I think it was 70 hours, and I think I worked on it for about 4 months of streaming, right? So Wednesdays, and it got to a point where it was Wednesdays and Sundays. Most of the time that I spent on it was on Wednesdays, because again, I'm not talking, we're just working, right? So this particular car isn't taking quite as long, so I'm really happy about that. But it looks like it's going to autosave. So while it does, I'll show you guys what the Cosmic Gateways Tarot, just in case you guys are new, just in case you miss it and or hadn't seen it in a while, and maybe you've never seen it before. Again, this is a Cosmic Gateways Tarot. So we are 42 cards into this project. There are going to be 78 cards in total, right? 79 illustrations altogether, because there will be 78 face cards and then one back design. I haven't really figured out what I want to do for the back design yet, but I do really love the way that this feels very cohesive. It feels like it's all a part of the same world or the same universe. I spent the greater part of the initial couple of years working primarily in the major arcana cards. Of those major arcana, well, first of all, tarot is divided into a major arcana and a minor arcana. Your major arcana are the cards like the devil. It's the cards like temperance or the sun, the moon, the stars, so on and so forth, for those of you who may be unfamiliar with tarot. The minor arcana cards are akin to playing cards, right? So you have an 8 through 10, you have a knight, you have a page, you have a king and a queen. Whereas in playing cards, you have 8 through 10, you have jack, king, and queen, and the joker, right? So we're currently working in the minor arcana cards, but I spent a significant portion of the 6 years that I've been working on this, working on the major arcanas. And of those majors, we have 4 left. So I have the sun, the moon, the star, and the chariot left of the major arcana cards. Of the minor arcana cards, we have the 5s left to do. So I'm working on 2 of the 4 5s. Each number has 4 cards because they coincide with 4 suits. So I have the rest of the 5s to do, working on 2 of the 5s now. I have the 5 of Pentacles left to do and the 5 of Swords left to do. I have the 6s, the 7s, the 8s, the 9s, and the 10s, and then I have the Kings and Aces. So I have all of those cards left to do. Again, my goal this year is to complete 15. You know, last year we did 9. So I feel like if I could do 9 last year, I could do 15. I can bump it up. I think the most that I've created in a year was about 14. So I feel like I can do it, right? It may take me a little bit of work. It may take me some time to be hyper focused, especially on the days that I'm working on this project. But that is my goal for the Cosmic Gateway Tarot for this year. If I can complete 15 of this year, that'll make next year, I have 21 to do. If I could do 18 this year, I have 18 next year. So we'll see. But I'm really excited, really happy to be taking my time again with this, because I feel like I get to put so much, there's no pressure, right? Because it's a personal project. This is a dream project. So there really is no pressure for me to perform and to meet like certain deadlines, such as I would in my commercial projects. So I do have the luxury of taking my time with it, but I would love to get it out as soon as possible. Hey, Draw Sketchbook, I'm so happy to see you guys. I'm still really happy to see y'all in the chat. I'm happy to have you here, and I hope you guys are having a great week so far. So yeah, this is the Cosmic Gateways Tarot. We on our way, right? But in between time, I feel like I would love to show you guys some other things art wise, just so that you can have just one, so that I can have a little bit of balance, right? So that I can have some balance. 2, so that I can get other projects done, because I have some book covers that I would like to complete to add to my website, because I have other things going on in that regard, and as well as just having other types of art to show you guys. So we're gonna find balance this year. This is the year of the fire horse, baby. We gonna fire horse it up. So I'm really excited to take you guys along with me as we continue to create. And I would love to see, for you guys that are artists, I would love to see what you guys create this year. Some of the things that you get into. If you're not an artist, and again, you have a dream project, I'm hoping that you guys get into that you sort of, again, bet on yourself and share it with me, because I find motivation in that. I love surrounding myself with people who are also going for what they love, right? Going towards their passions, just taking a chance on it and going on these side quests. I love to be around those kinds of people, because that motivates me on those days where I'm not really sure if I'm doing the right thing, right? So let's motivate each other, and I would love to know that you guys are moving forward in a positive way. no matter what life looks like, outside of your purview, right, outside of your own perspective and your own point of view, what the world looks like at large, I still want you guys to take a chance, right, and do some of the things that you're curious about, been wanting to do since you was a kid, or been wanting to do since you woke up this morning. Right? Just kind of take a chance on yourself. All right, so I am making this very, very simple for myself. All I'm doing is kind of laying in highlights and shadow, right, for these books. Again, I'll turn off the sketch once I get to a point where I need to see what we're looking like, and then that'll give me an idea of how successful I am in making sure that these look like separate books, right? I'm not necessarily worried about the details that I have in my reference image. I just need to know, or need to sort of illustrate books. So I'm just laying in light stripes of color, light and dark. This does not have to be perfect, not yet. I will get to a point in a moment where if I feel like it needs to be tightened up, then I'll tighten up certain things, maybe put in some darker lines and shadows and things like that. But for the time being, I have to kind of keep in mind that this is going to be printed on a very small card. So I do not have to worry about it being super perfect or anything like that. The only time I do kind of concern myself with it is if I see the potential of this being blown up, right? So I do offer canvas prints of some of the cards from this project. And those cards are ones that I zoom in extremely close to, right? I care about those details because I know that those details are going to show up when printed on like a 24 by 36 canvas, right? But for this particular one, I don't foresee that. I just kind of want to make sure that I am doing the best I can for the small surface area that this will be printed on, and then I can kind of go from there. So I'm going back and forth between my round brush and my smudge brush. I only work with a couple of brushes. Primarily, I work with a hard round brush, and I also work with a chalk brush. That's just about all I need to get the textures that I need for each item. So for instance, I'll show you guys this fertility symbol, which is one of the items on the bookshelf on the display case that our main character has access to. This entire fertility symbol was painted with a chalk brush. I didn't need it to be super detailed because the reference wasn't super detailed. It is very much a carved piece of wood, and I wanted it to look like a carved piece of wood. So I used the colors from my reference, and then I just was free about, using that chalk brush. I also used the chalk brush and another in the ducks. I used the chalk and the hard round brush I think they're geese, in this metal texture of the fish, as well as this metal texture of these balls. I also use the same chalk brush down here to create stone. So these brushes they're not very varied, right? They're not a variety of brushes, just a couple brushes that I use, and then depending on how I put in light and shadow, that'll kind of help determine the texture of the item that I'm creating. So I know a lot of times we get into this digital art, we have like buku brushes. When I worked in Photoshop, for all of those years that I worked in Photoshop, I was a brush hoarder, right? And then I just got to a point where I realized I only really needed just a handful of brushes to get and articulate whatever it was that I was trying to articulate. And then any specialty brush I would have, because I do have a few, I would use sparingly, right? So only in certain instances, only when I felt like it really added value to what it was that I was creating. So we got 3 books down pretty quickly, pretty easily. Got some shadow under our first goose, right? I have them labeled ducks, but I'm pretty sure these are geese. So I have it under my first goose. We're gonna go ahead and continue to lay in the shadow and the light for each of these books. I'm gonna turn off the sketch real quick just so I can kind of see where I am, make sure everything looks right, okay? And it does, and then we'll pick back up. So I'm hoping again y'all are giving or sort of betting on yourself as you move forward in your life, in your career, in your relationships, or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish in your life, for your kids, for yourself, all of that. I hope that you guys are taking the opportunity to sort of spend time with yourself. I feel like that's self-care, because again, I know as adults we are always kind of inundated with responsibility and bills. You know what I mean? You still got to pay bills regardless of what you have. if you have children, you know, we have to deal with making sure we guide our kids into a life that, you know, we want them to have for their own betterment and all of that, allowing them to be themselves, allowing them to sort of explore their lives, but we're also sort of growing up side by side with them. So I hope that you guys are kind of taking advantage of that and are able to sort of, you know, care for yourself along with all of your other responsibilities, because if you don't, before we know it, you'll be an old man or old woman or an old non-binary person, right? And you won't have accomplished anything. So you kind of have to take a chance, right? Make time for the things that you want to do. Make time for the things that you want to accomplish. And don't let fear stop you, right? Sometimes we kind of are afraid of stepping outside of our comfort zone because we don't know anyone, or we can't see anyone, or we can't even see it for ourselves. Doing the things that maybe we have an idea to do. Sometimes you have to be that person, you have to be that example, and you have to be the one to take those chances. So if I'm your example, man, let me be your example, right? Because I tell you the heartbeat if I don't know what I'm doing, but we gonna try it, we gonna learn it together. If it's something on here that I can show you guys, if I don't know how to do it, you know, maybe we can learn it together as well. So yeah. This week's been great. It's been pretty good. It's been very eventful. Again, I'm so happy that you guys enjoyed the videos that we put out this week. And I'm really looking forward to doing more of those types of videos and just kind of being honest about my experience. Because if I don't know how to do something, I don't know how to do it. We're going to make our way through. Right? All right. So these books are super easy to do. The only thing that I would say I may change is just sort of the angle in which the bottom book is sitting, because we want to make sure that this actually looks like it's sitting inside of a bookshelf. And so far, the angle that it's sitting at looks a little bit deeper than the way that it's drawn. Now, I could probably make a tweak to that as I move forward, because the fish looks the same way. They look like they're sitting about at the same angle. So I just kind of want to tweak that a little bit, that aspect, before moving forward. But so far, I'm really happy with the way that this is turning out. So I'm going to grab from my reference. This looks like it's in shadow because it's right next to another object. So we're going to tweak that a bit. Not going to go quite as dark, but we'll go a little bit darker, and we'll put these pages in, and then we'll move on to the next aspect of this illustration. So this actually came together faster than I thought it was going to be, right? I actually thought we were going to be here for a minute. So once I finish up this little bit, and then later on I'll kind of tweak it. Once I look at it again, we'll move on and look at this vase, right? Which is something that started right before the live stream started. And we'll kind of go and see what I can do to get it looking the way that I want it to look, and then we'll move forward. So yeah, I'm finding that since I'm working on other projects, or wanting to work on other projects, that taking advantage of these live streams and the time after the live streams, right, which is real important, because I'll get sidetracked in a heartbeat. Sort of taking advantage of that time is really important to the completion of this project. So even though I have plans for other things, other videos, and other types of artistic endeavors, this is definitely this has to get done. Right? So we got to get this dream project done, because it has been a very long journey in the making. All right, so I'm looking at this vase right in my reference panel for you guys who are watching this horizontally versus vertically, because I'm streaming both in the the shorts feed as well as the regular live stream. I'm looking at a reference of my vase, and within this vase, the wall in this picture is a very different color from the wall that I am creating, right? So with this, even though my usual sort of way of operating is that I'll just pull colors from my reference, this is very different. So instead of pulling colors directly from the reference, I'm just going to sort of pay attention to the values. You guys will hear me say that a lot. That is the range from light to dark. I'm going to pay attention to the values of the texture in the glass, and I'm going to do my best. Right? We're going to see how well I do. I'm going to do my best to replicate that using the gray in the illustration that I'm creating. So in this case, I will be pulling from the copper area, but not so much from the glass. I'm going to try my best, right, to emulate the sort of tone and the color of this glass, and then we'll kind of go from there. Now again, I don't know how this is gonna go, but we'll see and we'll work it out together. This is one of those things where I kind of know what I'm doing, but not quite, but we're just gonna try, and then if it works, great. If not, then we'll just kind of keep working at it until it looks the way that I need it to look. Now I'm not reaching for perfection, and this is definitely one of those times where I'm not necessarily looking for it to be absolutely perfect, but I do want to get as close as possible so that the tweaks and things like that won't be as time consuming. Now, as I'm looking at this, and I'll zoom in onto the reference, I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm looking at. So not only am I looking at the value, like the lightest lights and like all the tones in between the lightest lights and the darkest darks of the glass portion of this, I'm also paying attention to how that reflects in sort of the inside part, right? So there's a copper bit on the inside where we can see the inside of this vase. I'm paying attention to how that shows up here because that'll tweak how I've already colored those aspects of, you know, the parts that I've done, right? So there's quite a lot that goes into for me painting from reference and things like that. I think that it's important to explain, right, what exactly it is that I'm looking for, so that if you guys are, you know, going into art and you want to figure out how to create from reference, what you can see and what you can do and how you can use those references for your benefit. So I'm just smudging this little sort of lighter yellow color up, and I'm also going to smudge the gray down, but that is going to give the illusion that this light is sort of hitting at or inside of this, sort of over the inside of this vase, if that makes sense. Right? And then we'll take the smudge brush and we'll just kind of play with it a little bit. Now, the way that this tablet that I work in, which is a Huion, I think was it Artist 22, something like that. It's a 22-inch Huion tablet. The way that it works is that the pen that I'm drawing with, which is here, this is a stylus pen. Hope that zooms in. It is pressure sensitive, right? So if I smudge extremely hard, then it'll give me a very hard smudge, but I can theoretically lightly tap over it and it'll give me a lighter smudge. Same with the brushes as well. So we want to pay attention to how hard I am pressing on the screen as I'm working through this particular section of the illustration. So it looks like this is a nice strong white line, so we want to make sure that we have that there. And then again, next to it looks like a little bit darker, so I have that in a little bit here, so we'll add that in, and then we'll just kind of play up the values because it looks like that is a little bit lighter gray. Right? So we'll just kind of keep doing this back and forth, and we'll go through a push and pull as I sort of try to illustrate glass or try to illustrate this reflective glass as it is, you know, showing up on the wall. So for you guys that are artists, what are some of the things that you guys are working on? I would love to see it. I would love to see it. I'm one of those types of people that I have a huge love and appreciation for the arts. I mean, I guess obviously, but I love to see other people create. I love to learn. I learn from watching more often than not. So a lot of times as I'm watching other artists create, I am picking up techniques that I can try and add into my own artistic practice. So if you guys have videos out there, if you have an artist that you like to watch, that you would like to share, I'd love to know about it, because I love I love watching and learning about other sort of modes of creativity. So yesterday I watched a documentary on the art of the Harlem Renaissance. I think they have an exhibit at the Met in New York, and just seeing so much of it, which I have not seen since maybe high school. I think I did my senior project on the correlation between the Italian Renaissance and the Harlem Renaissance. And so some of those pieces I recognize from that, and I ain't been in high school in over 20 years. So just kind of seeing some of those was really nice. Seeing sort of the style in which people were creating their own reflections in the art that they created, whether that was through photography. Some of it was photography, but you don't hear a lot about, through their writing, through their paintings, through their illustrations and things like that, sculptures, all of that. I found it so fascinating, and I wish I could get to the Met to see that. I think I saw another exhibition recently, and I don't recall where it was. I feel like it was in Philadelphia, where the costume designer for Black Panther and Sinners, and I think she did Amistad. I don't know her name, but she has an exhibit in Philadelphia. I would love to be able to like go and experience that. Just to kind of see it in person, you know what I mean? Sometimes we can see images of things, but just it could be very inspiring to see a lot of that in person. So I wish, I wish I could get to some of those places, and maybe this year we will. Maybe this year I'll be able to go and view some of that. But I really, really enjoy art, right? I really, really enjoy art. I don't think that I am an art snob. You know what I mean? Some people that they get sort of where they love art so much where their own definition of art is all that there is. I don't think that. I'm really open to lots of different expressions. Now, some of it I may not be into, right? And that's totally fair. And some of it I might be all for. But I do like to see people express themselves however it comes up and out of them, right? Because one person's sort of mode of expression may be very different from the next person's. And so I feel like every expression of art is just a reflection of the artist, right? Whether that is through the choices that they make, whether that is through the the medium that they use, the subject that they choose to paint. All of that is very reflective of the person that created it. It tells a story, it tells something about that person. So to me, that is always the most fascinating, right? What you can kind of gauge and sort of get from looking at the art that people create. Says a whole lot. It says a whole lot. So a long time ago, I used to read a lot of Stephen King. And after a while, I started to notice patterns in the way that he wrote. And to me, that told me a lot about Stephen King, right? Whether it was a lot about his own personal experiences, maybe some things that he had done in his lifetime, and then he just kind of expressed it through his characters and through the stories that he created. But you can always tell something from the artist by the work that they produce. Whether that is an actor that comes off in acting as well, the roles that people choose to take, whether that is because they need to pay a bill, right, which is perfectly valid and okay, or if it's something that they're truly passionate about and they believe in. You can always, to me, tell something from the person. Now that may be the reader in me, right? It may just be something that I picked up on, but I feel like you pay close enough attention to the things that people create, you'll learn so much about those people as individuals beyond the art. So in this, I always say that the Cosmic Gateways Tarot is definitely a self-portrait. That is something I wanted to lean into intentionally, right? I remember having someone, I think I had posted, by this time I was working on the nights, I think. And I remember getting a comment from someone who was like, I just realized all of this is about you. And I was like, yeah, obviously, of course it is. For me, it is, it is very much about me, but I would like to say that I also don't feel like I'm the only one who has certain experiences. So even though I am very deliberate about reflecting my own experiences through my artwork, I know that there are other people who are wanting to see the same kinds of images, who have had the same kinds of experiences. So it's very important to me to just be honest in the work that I create. So yeah, it is very much a self-portrait. You can read a whole lot about me through the artwork, and it is there for you to do so if that's what you wish to do. So anytime you see art in again, however it expresses itself, through photography, through film, through poetry, through writing, all of that, through acting, all of those things, you can always tell something about the artist through the art that they choose to create. So again, if y'all are watching this live or the replay, I really appreciate you for being here. You could be doing anything on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. I know here in Memphis, it's like 80 degrees outside, March 1st. And it is my granny's birthday. I forgot to mention that. So happy birthday to my granny. She is 94 years old. I talked to her earlier today, and I was real happy to hear that she sounded very happy. You know what I mean? She was cooking her pot of turnip greens. I said, come on, granny, with them turnip greens. So I was very happy about this. Today is my granny's 94th birthday. So I would love to wish her a happy birthday here on this live stream. If you have a birthday this month, happy birthday. If I missed it, if you would like to share that with us, let me know. I want to wish you guys a happy birthday. It is Pisces season. Come on, water signs. So I really am excited about that. I hope you guys are having a wonderful month, and I hope that this month is good to you. I hope last month was good to you. So we had Black History Month last month, and I feel like there have been so many events happening in the world today, but I hope that during that Black History Month you guys learned something new. Maybe you did not know before. Maybe you were put on to a new contribution that you weren't aware of that Black Americans have had on the history and the progress of this particular country. I hope that you guys have enjoyed that as well. I had an idea once, like Black History Month was in full swing. I was like, you know what, it would be neat to draw a new historical figure every day for the month of February and just sort of give their backstory. That is something I am considering doing. Hey, TN lady. She says, wow, I'm not sure. Oh, happy birthday, hot dog. Yes, I'll tell Granny happy birthday. Heck yeah, this is my granny's birthday. But yeah, I had the idea. I was like, you know what, it would be real cool if I just did like a portrait of a historical figure and like someone maybe that don't hear about often, right? So we always hear about the big ones, your Malcolm X's and your Dr. Kings and your Rosa Parks and all of these different people, but we don't hear about like the guy who invented the stoplight. You don't hear about the woman who invented the sanitary pad. So there's so many contributions and things like that we don't hear a lot about, that don't get as much public recognition, and it may be fun to do that. Now I know there's a creator by the name of Habo. I love his YouTube channel and his social media. He had a series that talked about Black creatives, specifically Black illustrators and painters and things like that, and I learned some that's okay TN lady. I learned so much about illustrators that I had no idea existed. Some who worked for Disney, some women who had put out comics during the era of the Harlem Renaissance. I had no idea these people existed. So learning about those particular types of creatives was really interesting during Black History Month. And I don't want Black History Month to be the only time that we learn about the contributions of Black Americans in this country. So that might be something we do next year. I don't know. We'll see. But if you think that's a good idea, let me know. I would like to hear your input. Would love to know what kinds of things you would like to see more of on this channel. Again, I know that the video that we did recently did really well, so we'll do more of those. I definitely do want to challenge myself to create someone with a much richer skin tone with those markers that I have, because I would be I'm just really curious to know how I would approach it, right? Now, the thing about those markers, again, is very interesting. Those packs, and I think just at large, a lot of things that we buy at large have a tendency to overlook darker tones, especially for skin tones, so much so that we just now got like Crayola put out like a skin tone pack of crayons, right? We just now getting Band-Aids that are brown skin and all of those kinds of things. So that is a very common thing. So with those types of markers and packs like that, anytime you can buy paints and markers and colored pencils, they do tend to overlook darker colors. It is what it is, right? So I would really like to be able to take that same 48 pack, right, and see if I can create, or see how I knew I could, but just kind of see how I would approach creating a portrait of someone with a richer skin tone. So that is something that I will be working on after I do they show you guys how I do set up for the painting. So be on the lookout for that. But I think that would be a really, really great video to do and just kind of explore and push myself through. Now, as I was working through those, the thing that I noticed again was the limit. But when I am painting with acrylic paints, I only really use about 9 colors. My palette is about 9 colors, right? The difference is that within those 9 colors, I can mix and match and create like an infinite number of colors to work with. With those markers, anytime you can get something that's like pre-mixed, those acrylic markers, pastels do a little bit of a better job, but acrylic markers, pastels, chalks, watercolor sets, gouache sets, things like that, they do tend to sort of overlook those darker colors. And with the markers and colored pencils specifically, you do have to sort of be very creative about how you express those colors, right? So I would like to again challenge myself to do that. So we'll be doing that again. I really had a lot of fun working on that portrait. It took me about 3 hours or so to do, 3 or 4 hours. And I just kind of set up and I worked on it. And it got to a point where I was like, bro, I don't know what color to use. So I was like picking up orange, like, okay, this value looks close to this color. So my little swatch card became very invaluable. Now, The other thing about that was because I was working on a toned paper, when I swatched the tone card versus the sketch card that it came with, I could see a little more of the depth in the colors because it was on white paper. But I didn't want to be limited to the white paper, and I had those plein air cards I wanted to draw on anyway. So I just feel like, I wish that they were a little more varied in range. Right now, I looked at the next pack up, which I think was like 72 colors. Even with the 72 colors, it was the same issue. It was the same problem. You had like 5 or 6 yellows, and it's like, bro, who needs that many yellow? It's yellow. There are of course variances in the yellows, but there's a lot of emphasis on like lighter and pastel colors. It may have been the pack that in the brand that I was working with, I don't know. But I would really like to be able to challenge myself to see how well I could do with, just a different image, right? Someone with much richer skin tone, just to kind of see if I could pull it off or how I would pull it off. Not that I doubt that I can, because I could, but I just want to see like how I would approach it and how I would do that. So yeah, I had fun making that video. Now it's been a really long time, right, since I've made standalone like videos where I'm recording myself work outside of the computer space. So that took a little bit of relearning to do, but all in all, it was a really, really good time, and I'm really glad again that you guys enjoyed that video. I seem to have enjoyed it. We definitely got some growth from that set of videos, so I'm very excited about that. So that just kind of lets me know what direction to go in. Now on this channel, under the post, there is still the poll that is up. So if you guys would like to take a vote on what you would like to see, if you would like to just let me know, it's all good. I would love to hear from you what it is that you would like to see on this channel more of. If I do something that you really, really enjoy, you're like, yeah, let's do more of that, let me know. Right? I'll definitely take that under consideration and work it into the schedule. Right? Until then, we're definitely going to be here twice a week streaming, Sundays and Wednesdays. Sundays is very much like this, where we're definitely going to be working on the Cosmic Gateway Tarot. On Wednesdays, those streams are sort of open to whatever. Right? So if I have, for instance, I have a movie poster that I will be working on here soon. So if I'm working on that, that might be something that I would do on Wednesday. So Wednesdays is just me working on whatever I feel like working on at that time. But lately, of course, my focus has been on the Cosmic Gateway Tarot, so I want to make sure that I honor that. But Wednesdays is that co-working study stream where you guys can come in and we work together and sort of exist together in the same space and all of that, and hold each other accountable. Those go for at least an hour, generally an hour. Sometimes they go a little bit longer than that, but they are about an hour long. So if you have something you want to study during that time, bring it along. You can share with us what you're studying. If not, it's all good, and then we'll just kind of go from there. Now, I have put in a lot of like strokes of colors into this glass. I have no idea how it's going to show up. So the way that I test this out is, first of all, I'm going to turn off the sketch, and then I'm going to zoom out just to kind of see if it's reading the way that I want it to read. It looks like it is so far, and there are probably going to be some tweaks and things like that I take just to clean things up. But so far, it's picking up what I'm putting down, right? So it's doing what I need for it to do. So we're going to continue on this journey of creating this glass, and then we'll call it, and I'll probably move on to the rest. So then next Sunday when we get back to this, ideally we'll be working on the foreground. So I'll go ahead and wrap up the plates and the rest of sort of the background, and then we'll go ahead and work on our character. We'll finish up the cups and do the stools and the floor and all of that next week. Fingers crossed. Right? So we'll go to do that. But I did mention, I think I'm going to be going, did I tell y'all about that? I know I've been talking all this time. So I got invited to do, the Civil War reenactment. So I'm going to be going to take some photos of that, and I'll probably be doing some art from that. I've been hired many years ago to do a couple of portraits for Black soldiers from my hometown in Tennessee. And Memphis is not my hometown, but these people fought in my hometown, which I thought was super duper interesting, super intriguing. So some of those guys are going to be out here in Memphis or near Memphis, and they're going to be doing a reenactment. So I'll be going out to that in April just to kind of see what that's like, right? And I'll be taking some images And I may create some work from that. I'll definitely be sharing some of the photography that I do for that. Just kind of practice and just kind of experience it. Now, Civil War and all of that is not necessarily up my alley, but I do find it interesting. I do find it fascinating. I didn't know that it took place so close to Memphis. I think it's right outside the city. What am I doing? So that I'm very interested in, just sort of learning more about, and I'll be sharing with you that experience, and then maybe we'll do some quick sketches of some of the soldiers and the guys that are reenacting those battles. So there might be a fun sort of change of pace as well. So yeah, we got all kinds of stuff going on, right? Got all kinds of things going on. Also, I will be at our local library is having a comic book convention. I will be at the Memphis Library Comic Book Convention here, and I think it's in May. I have not done a Comic-Con in a very, very long time. I do miss them. Most of my sort of outdoor sales and things like that would be at comic conventions. I love a good comic convention. I feel like if you are an artist and you are wanting to get your work out, or you want to sort of let the people in your area know who you are, trying to get out there outside of the internet, doing conventions, doing festivals, doing artist markets, that kind of thing. Farmers markets are a great place to set up. Those are valuable places for you guys to meet the people in your city, and you never really know who knows who. Those are great places to land opportunities and commissions and things like that, just to kind of get out amongst the people. So I got accepted into the library comic book convention, which I'm real excited about. Now, last year, I don't know what was going on. I didn't do any comic book conventions, but I did apply to a couple of festivals, right? Prior to last year, anything I applied to was absolutely no problem. I got in there, I guess because I had been to many conventions here in the city. Last year I got denied for everything. I don't know what was going on last year. I have no idea. So just to have this sort of acceptance into this comic book convention, even if it's at the library, you know what I mean? I'm real excited about that, and happy to be a part of that, especially since I go to the library for the photography club and all that. So that'll be a lot of fun to do. So I have that coming up, and then I'll be on the lookout for other events. So maybe I'll be at an event near you, right? Because I do travel. If you have an event that you would like for me to participate in, let me know. If you know someone who is running something and you would think I would be a good fit for them there. It could be anything from design, because I do graphic design, illustration. I usually set up and sell art and illustrations. It could be a spiritual event because I'm working on a tarot deck. Whatever you have going on, you think I would be a good fit for, let me know. I would love to be a part of it, and would love to sort of be there to support you in your event and meet the people and all of that. One of my favorite and probably the most successful that I've done was a spiritual convention in Atlanta, I think 2022. And that was with Dream Wise, his wife, D. Ray Wise, and Brother Yosef, right? So it was the perfect audience for this particular project. It was such a good time, such good vibes, and such a positive atmosphere. And that was probably one of the most successful events I've ever sort of vended at. I would love to do more of those. So if you guys know of any of those kinds of things that you think that this project would do a good fit for. Also, the thing that I specialize in for my commercial projects is all publishing, right? So if you have a book that you would like to publish, you have your manuscript edited, and all you need is everything else, right? From cover design to interior to children's to illustrations. If it's a comic book or graphic novel, you need covers for that. Whatever you need in terms of the creative to get that out, marketing and all of that, that is my specialty. That is what I do in my business. So if you would like to do that, let me know. Again, there are going to be some links for those kinds of things down in the description. All right, so I think I've did as much as I'm going to do on this glass for now. I'll probably mess with it a little bit later on this evening, because again, my goal is to have the background completed by the time we come back next Wednesday. But that looks really good. Actually, it looks a lot better than I thought it was. When we're zoomed in, sometimes it's real difficult to see how things look, but they look all right. I ain't mad at that at all. I'll probably soften up this white line a little bit and maybe add it somewhere else so there's balance in this particular vase. But in the grander scheme of this illustration, it looks good, right? All right. So if you're new here, be sure to hit, or if you're new here, first of all, welcome. If you're watching this live or the replay, I really appreciate you for being here. If you'd like to support this channel, be sure you hit the like button. That helps me out so much. I do have a goal of reaching 1,000 subscribers. The subscriber count will dip and it'll go back up, and it'll dip and go back up. But if you like this kind of content and would like to see more live creation videos and also more art videos in general, if you're curious about the artistic process, you have questions about all of that, be sure to hit the subscribe button and then let me know in the comments or in the chat what you would like to see more of from me as an artist. So I've been a professional at this since 2008, so I've been a professional artist for a very long time. I would love to help you guys grow in the arts. I would love to help you provide your household with art, right? So if you love the kind of art that I create and would like to own a piece of that, again, there are going to be links and everything down in the description. I hope that you guys enjoyed this Sunday, and I hope that you all have a happy, creative, and prosperous rest of the week. And don't forget to tell my granny happy birthday. All right, y'all. Peace.